Welcome back to the bumper breakfast. The noise of the people in the studio, I apologize. You can hear them, but don't worry. When we meet Miriam this morning, we're going to be flogging her for bringing the noise into, our set. Actually, she's the culprit this morning. When you bring some packages into the studio, some things get to happen. It's not our fault. But yeah, we're back on the bumper breakfast this morning, and we're talking about women. We're building a society where abuse is totally unacceptable. And joining the conversation is Wemimo Advocacy. Wemimo, good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm excited.
You know how to tell you that the distance you come from, honestly, I must give it to you. It takes commitment to a cause for someone to consistently drive that distance every week just to be on a show. That's why I'm not paying you. But Wemima's birthday is just in a couple of days.
4 days away.
On Sunday, we are going to eat rice.
Thanksgiving all over the world. So we're doing it together.
We're doing it all over the
Yes. All over. People are doing Thanksgiving and also
on that Sunday.
Yes.
But does that mean that we'll not do the birthday? Chinka Kenny's birthday. Remember? That type. Are we doing that type? No, I don't understand though. No. We need to clarify this thing. Are you saying that there's no rice and chicken and meat?
When we get there, we still have about 4 days to go.
To plan it. Nobody should even try that kind of thing with me right now. I'm not going to fall for the trick. I'm going to eat that rice, whether you like it or not. I'm going to eat the rice. We're talking about building a society, like I said earlier. Last week, a report came out from the United Nations. We packaged the report and would like to show you exactly what it said. The United Nations Women has said a total of 11,200 rape cases were discovered in Nigeria, including children who were raped to death during the year 2020. This was according to a media breakfast ahead of the 16 days of activism against the gender-based violence in Abuja. In the survey conducted last year, about 43.5% of female children were given out in early marriages, 18.4% suffered genital mutilation, 17.4% suffered from lifetime physical or secular intimate partner violence. Many Nigerians point to a legal system that say it makes it hard to convict suspected rapists and blames women when they are victims of sexual assault.
Ikaite Akman. She got married, the first time. She found herself into marriage, because I will not say that is a marriage. At the age of 16, I will not say it is a marriage, and she was like, she wants to pull out after having 2 children. She's the one paying the house rent, paying the school fees. All the man does is to beat suspect her. If he sees anybody, if she's discussing with anybody in the compound, he believes they have an affair. He got to a day that he had to call in boys to beat his own wife, beat the boy, the neighbor. When they brought the case here, we took it up. Wapa gave us referral to go to Alausa. And at the end of the day, the boy was told to leave the house for a month. Let there be peace.
We've done since 2020, where we commenced with community dialogue sessions in some of the communities of the 2 local governments. I think we've up till now, we've done almost about 20 community dialogue sessions in each of the local governments. And these community dialogue sessions comprises of critical stakeholders who have interests, in the fight against violence against women and girls.
So can you tell us how effective all of these, meetings have become over the years?
Yes, it's been very, very effective. because in the various communities where we have held the community dialogue sessions, decisions, solutions on how to end this violence were preferred by the communities themselves.
We have challenges at the level of policy implementations, the frameworks. The policy is in place. We have the Child Rights Act. We have the Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act. But in terms of domesticating them at the state level, we have about 23 states that have domesticated the VAP Act. We have about 21, with some states recently, pushing through the last mile of, domesticating the Child Rights Act. But we have that, so there are challenges there in getting all of the states, especially those in the north, to domesticate the Child Rights Act.
In Nigeria, it is not uncommon for rape to go unreported. Some victims and their families fear stigmatization, sometimes police extortion, and a lack of trust in the judicial process. They choose not to report these cases to the authorities. There have also been instances where those brave enough to report are targeted with derogatory comments at the police station. They are either vilified for their dressing, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, or accused of making up claims of rape. According to the report from UN Women, about 3 in 10 Nigerians disclosed they know someone who has been raped in the past, and the rape victims were particularly minors and young adults aged between 1 and 15 years old. 72% were between 1 and 15 years, while 16 to 25 years occupy 24%. This statistics implies 1 in every 3 girls would have experienced at least one form of sexual abuse by the time they reach 25 years old. While we bemoan over girls and women whose violations occur within the purview of the law and order, one wonders the magnitude of rape and other forms of sexual abuse which occurs in our various conflict zones. Here, women and girls are easily captured and turned into sex slaves and violated against will. At the IDP camps, one cannot ascertain the number of women and girls or children who are abused on a daily basis. More so, the IDP camps occupy so many states and surround us across the country. What is the fate of the women and girls and children in the different IDP camps scattered across the country? Violence against women and girls has continued to grow at an alarming rate. It has now become a great challenge in Nigeria and a great concern for women groups across the country. For me, it's just that tear on the eyes, dropping from the eyes of that little child who was molested by an adult. The IDP camps have been rife with abuse of all sorts for quite a while, and that's why it seems we need to look at the society in general. How do we get to build a society where the idea of molesting a child, raping a woman, taking advantage of a girl, taking advantage of a minor will be totally unacceptable? Everyone has stories. 3 out of every 10 girls between the age of 1 and 15 would complain of some form of sexual abuse. And that's alarming for me. I mean, when you deal with this data on a daily basis. Yinka Kenny does so much for educating girls, and I'm just looking at it. If we have this kind of society, when we say child marriage, I like the fact that the representative of the Lagos mainland local government, the first woman who spoke in that interview, said in the community, Yaba, they have so many girls who got married at 15, 16. The particular one she's talking about got married at 16 to a 17-year-old boy. The boy doesn't work, the girl works. So 15, By the time she had 3 children, she was like 21. She was feeding the family, and the guy wasn't working. From battering to beating, the standard in their community is for the so-called adults and elders to try to separate fathers. And this is not peculiar to that one girl. It is one out of like thousands of other people going through the same thing in those communities. And you know, the annoying part is the fact that the report she's giving us says, this community say, don't worry, we'll settle it with it. Don't worry, we will talk to the husband. Don't worry, we will say no. Don't worry, we will say, don't do it. These are some of the things that we hear. Do you think this can be pushed to the side? In your experience of dealing with women, can we get totally clean, totally comfortable, totally as a society, can we get to a point where everybody will be saying no at the same time? Because it's permissible, it's acceptable in this society today.
She got carried
I don't
away.
understand.
We
it.
got carried away.
I was thinking Wemo is gonna talk.
Yes.
You see, I will take it from before we even go to the minors, the adults.
The women.
When my mother, so to speak, sees being abused as a way of life,
Part of
well, kí la fẹ́ ṣe? Ara nǹkan tó máa ń ṣẹlẹ̀ náà nìyẹn. Ilé ọkọ, ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ni. You know, and all of that. My mother sees the masculine world as more superior than the feminine world. And she lives with it, she lives by it. That's her conviction rather. How do we correct it in the life of the minors? You will hear things like, àwọn àyà yìí náà tá bá lẹ́nu wá sọ̀rọ̀ báyìí ọ̀rọ̀ pọ̀. You see, you hear things like, even we went through it.
and nothing happened.
And nothing
We
happened.
didn't die.
We didn't die. So I strongly feel that we should start from there. Because when I have this kind of orientation and I see it happening to a minor, I want to cover it up. We've had cases of women that are covering up situations where their husband is sleeping with their children and they are covering it up. That is just unimaginable for me. So for me, that's where, if we are trying to build a society where we can have, where it can be abuse free. And when we talk about abuse, let us remember that it is not only sexual abuse. We have emotional abuse. Some people, where in their domain, it might not even be, it might not, you see, most of the times we narrow it down to marital relationship. At times it's not, at times it's even in our immediate society. I might not be married to you, but I might just somehow, it could be in the office environment.
And that's what we say, a society where abuse.
That is it. We have emotional abuse. We have, a lot of forms of abuse. Some people will not touch you, but they will traumatize you. You will go home and you will, something happened to me 2-3 months ago. I don't want to, go into details, if I do, the person, if watching, will know. And I was traumatized for a period of 2-3 months to a stage that when I see this guy, my mind skips. It hadn't happened to me in a long while. If I see him, he's a younger person, but because of that situation that happened that day, he came back, apologized, and not all. So it got to a stage that I had to start working on myself psychologically. It was that bad. So we have a situation. Yes, in my case, it started there and ended there.
For some, it's consistent.
Yes, because maybe because of my own status, my own person, my own, you won't do that and go scot-free. You get what I'm talking about? It didn't touch me, but it traumatized me. So for some people, it's a way of life. So where do we start
which
from?
means we have raised a group of people who traumatize other people. Abusers who are comfortable, their daily business is to abuse other people.
Okay,
No, you
let me
see,
pick
sorry,
it from
Mama,
there.
sorry, Mama. You see, you might not be comfortable doing it. Some people, that's just the way they know how to.
And that's what I'm saying, wiring. They have
That's the way.
cultured.
That's the way they are
They've
wired.
been wired,
Exactly.
raised, nurtured to
That
be
way.
abusers.
That way.
And to be
You don't-
comfortable
you do not-
giving abuse.
You do not start like my boy. Was it 2 weeks ago? What happened? And with my help, and I called him to the room. I said to him, I said, if you go on this way, she won't be able to relate with you. And if you go on this way, this is how you will relate with every woman around you. He said, Mommy, I did not. I say, but you actually did. So that is where it starts from. He did what he did innocently,
Ignorantly.
ignorantly rather. And I called him to order. I cautioned him.
Because
I
it
made
happened in your presence.
Yes, I made him realize, what he did, that it was wrong, where he was wrong, and how
To do it better.
to do it better. Now, that is where it also starts from.
Let's talk
Some
to
of
women
us
a bit.
will close our eyes to it.
We need to go back home, because if we say who are the perpetrators of this act, either at family level, community, workplace, interpersonal, maybe intimate, whatever. These are individuals from homes. Okay? And when we talk society, it is you, myself, himself, and someone who makes up the society. So we need to ask, okay, if you say some people take pleasure in traumatizing others, the truth is it's not actually their fault. They were traumatized. They were abused as well. And they were not, they didn't get help. They were not fixed. The truth is, if I'm to put my pen on paper to write some of the things I experienced in my entire life, you would see 1 or 2 traces of abuse. But it does not give me the right to abuse another person because I was abused. So I would say that the issue of abuse and then being, carrying out on another individual, or let's say women and children, is the choice of the abuser. There is nothing like he's the devil. There's nothing like she made me do it. There's nothing like the child made me do it. It's you. So let's settle that. And that we have lots of wrong customs and traditions, all right, that affect women, that makes us more vulnerable to abuse. The fact that you are a woman on its own, there's something that says she should accept it, she should take it. Okay, that is how it should be. But the truth is, we have cultures, we have customs, we have traditions. Fine, to guide the society, to guide people's behaviors. However, we should look at the results that these customs are giving to us. If the results do not match up to the dignity of human rights that we have, then the customs are not working. Yeah, so is the woman being respected as far as the custom or tradition is concerned? No, then it's not working. Is a girl child being given the right as a human being? No, then that custom is not working.
So it doesn't matter where it is said that it's our culture.
No.
Women don't speak in public places.
It's
where
not about
men
the culture,
are.
it's not about the custom, it's not about the tradition, it's about the outcome. So if the outcome is subjective, if the outcome is subjugating, if the outcome is traumatizing, then it is no longer applicable. The world has evolved. Things have changed. Okay, so we should begin to see people more from the dignity of human being. Okay, much more than saying we're looking at it from the gender angle. It's not working. Then we should also begin to focus on developing family values. Look at what she said about her son. She observed something the boy himself didn't know. Okay, you see, this is an environment where, whether you like it or not, something is rubbing off on you. And it's when someone around you is able to identify
Caution
it and then point it out to you. If you're teachable, you will take it in. If you're not teachable, you will meet it in front. Because that's the way it runs. And the men who violate women, men who violate children, also didn't have somebody to caution them. Probably somebody covered them up. Probably somebody pampered them because he's a man, he is a male, he is the head, the hair of a family. So we need to begin to deal with people as human beings. Train up a child in the way the child should go, in the right values, in the proper ways. But the question is, what kind of value do you have as an adult? Do you believe a woman must be abused? Do you believe, even at workplace level, we have people who says there are some positions that women cannot occupy because she is a woman, regardless of the fact that she qualifies for it. She's got experience for it. So we need to start, society, we need to start looking at our values. What do we believe? What do we stand for? Okay, are these values really working? Are they helping us? Okay, are they pushing us forward? Are they yielding positive results? Are they building the society? That's what we should be looking at. Because the truth is, if we don't fix the customs, we don't fix cultures, we don't fix the traditions, then abuse will continue and the figure will keep rising.
11,000 plus, as in 11,000 plus in 1 year.
In 1 year.
Honestly, and
The reported ones,
I want to
The
begin
reported
to,
ones,
Yes.
aggregated data across the country. In 1 year, in 2019, we did not talk. We're not sure what will happen in 2021. We're just looking at 2020. And people, I don't want to hear that idea of it was COVID and the lockdown. I mean, it wasn't that. I totally agree with the then PRO of the police in Lagos, Bala Elkana, who said they had more reports in Lagos in 2019 than in 2020. He said, how did it come about the figure? He said, we are getting to hear more about it in 2020 because we were all at home to hear it. He said, but in 2021, in 2019 rather, people were reporting. The police had the data. But it was not popular because we were all not at home and these things were not on social media. Even if they were, we were too busy to see them.
Now, I want to say that it's not just about reporting. The truth is, people are reporting. I must say that because the rate at which people report nowadays is more than how
They used to cover up
be
in the past.
But we shouldn't leave it at reporting alone. Okay, at community level, before we get to the point of reporting, let us begin to come together to be one another's brothers and sisters. We claim to run a global village, but the truth is, it's now every man to himself. You hear somebody's voice somewhere, you hear someone being raped, you hear this, and you're like, it's not my business. But you've forgotten that what goes around will definitely come around someday. Somebody you know that knows you is likely to be the next victim the next hour.
So, what do you do? Let me ask you this question. Sorry. What do you do if your neighbor batters his wife? You always hear this woman screaming and crying, "Egg mommy." What would you do?
honestly, I would not even wait for always, in the sense that I would, with the first time, because I have to be sure of what's going on, definitely I would approach the woman. What's happening? And if it's something that is becoming unbecoming, I will definitely make a report, whether she likes it or not. Because at the end of the day, when someone dies,
You're all going to be.
Yeah, the police will ask who. They will need to investigate. They will
Who heard
ask
about
the
it? Do you
neighbors,
have witnesses?
and they will ask you. Oh, I heard or I saw. Then you are an accomplice. Yeah,
exactly.
I heard and I saw. What did
And
you
then,
do about
but people
it?
lie and say they did not hear. Have you
not
seen that as
possible.
well? Have you heard of someone who beats a child with a stool? You know, the stool, the leg of the stool that has come off. Uses it on a child. It's not somebody's child.
On her own child.
Our own child. She uses that to beat the child because the child, she said, according to her, is stubborn. Now she keeps beating the child with that. And as a neighbor, what you do is you pretend as if you did not hear.
And you see, Tomisi, that was why I said initially that that's where we should start from. Because when even the elderly people do not have good education about all of this, you know, then there's problems somewhere. When I'm being you know, battered, I grew up being battered, being psychologically damaged, being emotionally down and everything. I just, you know, over the time is a way of life for me, and that's how I grew up, and that's how I, you know, begin to train my offspring. So that's where we should start from. And we should learn not to keep quiet, begin to, you know, be nosy about some of these things, because these days, when at the end of the day, when a life is gone, a life is gone.
I mean, Bebonu is allowed. What Inga Ken is saying, interpret it. Let me tell you that Bebonu is allowed when abuse is.
Honestly, it's
And
something
in the eye of
probably
when abuse is concerned,
See,
Bebonu is allowed.
when I was when I was married, you know, most times now, I will sit back and think about those days when I'm being battered, and I think about people around me. Everybody will just
Pretend as if nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening.
even the people, so to speak, that are supposed to be close to our family, they're just there. They're just, you know, they're just there, and you know, you begin to wonder, what kind of life is this? What kind of, you know, somebody cannot just caution somebody. There was a particular day, this guy was almost killing me, but fortunately, his younger brother was coming from Port Harcourt, and you know, he just came into the house and he heard the noise and blah and blah, and he just held on to his brother, and he said to his brother, no, initially when he was coming in and he saw everybody, and he was like, why is everybody looking at, but I'm if you're and all of that, you know, he was also like, and everybody sat down, and you know, he picked up his elder brother and said, face me, let's do it man to man. You know,
To fight.
You want to fight?
Yes.
Face me. Let's do this man to man. You see, that is the attitude that we should, put up. You know, a lot of
do
things.
not.
You know,
People should know where to go to and who to talk to.
Exactly.
Now, when I say people, I'm not talking about this. Permit me to use the word the victim, because the truth is, the one who is being battered, he's at zero level. Okay, psychologically, emotionally, financially, the dignity of the individual. Even when the person knows, so to speak, what to do, he or she may not have the strength to go for it. So, but what we're saying is people should know how to help people. We should start helping people right now. Now, when it comes to the real stuff where, the abuse, and you're sure of it as a neighbor, as an individual, you don't need the person's permission to report. You don't need the person's permission to raise an alarm. You're simply registering this, and you're saying, I have proofs to show. Address, name, and, gather information. Because they're going to ask you. What most people don't want is, let them not mention my name. Excuse me, you are saving somebody's life. But I think with the way it is now, even the body now knows that, okay, the reporter's identity needs to be protected. So you will definitely be protected, but don't keep quiet. When we say report, we're saying if you as the victim, in quote, cannot report, the neighbor can report on your behalf.
Just be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
And you see, also, apart from that, the counsel we gave to the perpetrator, and the victim matters a lot.
Yeah.
Now, most often than not, you find out that most times people do encourage the perpetrator in our society, and or in a situation where they do not encourage, they pamper. You know, some people will not encourage, but somehow pamper the perpetrator, which is so wrong.
Now, ways by which they pamper them, they say, oh, when he's drunk, he's like that.
Oh, sure.
When he's out of job, he's like that. When the wife is pregnant, he's like that. Because
give them excuses
you
for them and all
by
the rest.
excusing their excesses. But the truth
Their misbehavior.
is, when I started, I told you, I said, abusing another is a choice. It's about you. It's not about the alcohol. It's not about the substance. It's not about the lack of no money. You know, all this no money stuff. It's not about she made me do it.
And also,
you wanted to do it.
The person that is being victimized here, we should also be, if you have nothing good to tell the person, keep your mouth shut. Because at times you see people saying all sort of things you know, yes, you know.
We need to take a break. You know, this conversation, we need to have the part 2 to this conversation again next week. We're still going to be talking about building a society where abuse is unacceptable, and the 16 days of activism, of course, it will begin as well. So we need to keep talking about this to make sure every single person, you know, comes on board. If you talk about it and I talk about it, we will get the society we desire. Thank you so much, Remy, for being here this morning. We'll be back again next week. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's still Women's Day, and this time around, what kind of woman are you?